Hello. How's it going? Today I'm talking about Failure Frame. I became the strongest and annihilated everything with low-level spells. If you haven't seen these videos before, I'm going to give you a general rating off the bat and then go into why I gave you that rating. But before we get into anything, I'd appreciate if you could like, subscribe, blah blah blah. You get the gist, all the YouTube stuff. Anyway, okay. Initial rating. If you're not under like a teenager, then this is like a 5. If you are a teenager, then this is probably like a 7 or an 8. It a lot of a bit of style, but no substance. That's what I'll say with this one. My rating would be a 5 because I'm not not a teenager. But if you are, then maybe it's worth looking into. Okay. Why did I give it that rating? Well, you'll see. Watch. So, general gist of the story. This is the main character. Of course it's an isekai because I only cover isekais, apparently. But this is one of those isekais where it's like the full class is brought. So it's not just him. It's a couple other characters that are, from his class that are going to this world. And of course, you see this and you assume he is like abandoned instantly. The goddess is like, "Oh, you're shit, leave," and basically tries to get him killed. And to be honest, that's pretty much the story. It's she, tries to kill him, doesn't, and now he's trying to kill her. We've seen it literally a million times. It is probably one of the most common revenge story tropes. A goddess summons a group of people, abandons one of them, that one does survive, and tries to get revenge on the goddess. Okay. Super generic idea. Whatever. Here's what I'll say. As far as like generic ideas go, I don't think it does anything special, and I don't even really think it does anything like super well, because it's really it's not even trying to add anything to this idea. If anything, it feels like it's trying to speed run. Like he like gets through the initial dungeon, it's like, who the hell cares, I'm out. And then he like I don't want to get into spoiler territory, but basically any obstacle that comes into his way he gets rid of. And it's really not like a challenge half the time. Also, this character is meant to be, I believe, 17? If I'm not mistaken? But he acts like a grizzled veteran that was in the war for 50 years because, like, he never... Like, I swear to God, he's like, I'm great at acting, I always put on this, like, stoic, like, this, like, I could put on a nervous face in the span of a second, and you wouldn't even know I'm acting. And it's like, who the hell, like, what kind of 17-year-old is this? And, like, it's not even really his initial personality seems to be the opposite of everything else you see from, like, the time he's abandoned on. Like, he just... I don't know what is going on with this guy's personality, but, like, it seems like it's just, I want to be cool, and that's about it. I think this series does have a bit of horny bait, which is, again, why I'm saying it's for teens. Because, like, they're not showing anything, but they're very, like, suggestive, and it's like, really? Like, you had to do that? Like, fine, okay. I don't know. I kind of knew what I was getting into because, again, whenever I see a, title like that, it's an indicator of what's to come. And it has not, failed me yet. It's always been pretty on point. And in this case, yep, it was pretty on point. It goes into a lot of, like, the horn bait section. Generic plot points like, corrupt officials, things like that. In terms of, like, and then a lot of these series like to have this power scaling idea, right? Like, I became the strongest, right? It's almost like the title is irrelevant, right? It's kind of like that Ara Fuerte one where it's just like, yeah, he's like instantly top tier. Yeah, he just is. Like, it's not even really a spoiler. Like, within like the first like 10 chapters, he fights like some of the top tier people in this world. And then they kind of just have to make up groups to have people for him to fight, pretty much, because he's just that OP. And it's like, what is the point? It feels like a child made like an OC, and they just wanted their character to be like, he's the coolest guy ever. He's so cool. He's good at everything, and he's OP, and he always wins, and all the girls love him. And it's like, oh my god, like, can we not? I don't even know what to say about this character. It's just like generic loyal servant, and then like she just likes him over time. Nothing there. Nothing. Here's another, it's another trope of these kinds of series. Whenever you have like classmates involved, there's like this idea that you have to like skip back to the classroom, and then there's a couple of ideas that come about. Number one, everybody in the class sucks. There's always like the main character is a nice guy, and then there's like one girl that's nice, and that's it. And this is no different. Everyone in the class sucks. Like they say this guy should just like die in like 5 seconds of making it to that world. And you could say like maybe there's brainwashing going on or something, but it really doesn't seem like it. It just seems like they just don't care. They have like no morals. So that's like instantly like, okay, well this is just, they're clearly just trying to make it seem like everything sucks for this guy so they can make it fair whenever like someone dies or something. If they could just be like, oh, like who cares? That guy's an asshole. I don't care if they die. And it's like, well, I mean, really? But like, that's not realistic. Listen, a lot of people are jerks, but normally they don't show it in public, especially with like a lot of people around them. So in a class of like 20 to 30 kids, I don't think they're all just going to be like, yeah, kill that guy, I don't care. And then there'll just be like one person that doesn't. I feel like that's insane. And like they were all just like ranting, like, kill him, kill him. It's like, Jesus Christ. What is wrong with you guys? I don't know, it was pretty horrible. And then there's the other problematic scenario when you have like these classmates where it skips back to one of their perspectives because like, oh, that's the main guy apart from the main character. And it's always the most boring thing ever. It's like, oh, they're just, you know, they're just doing nothing. They're like, oh, I'm training a little bit, and then someone's like a dick to me, and I see something else that's kind of interesting, but I never go and do anything with it. So it's like, listen, I think I read somewhere that like around like maybe 53-ish chapters? I don't know, something like that for this, and it was starting to do a little more with this character, but it's still not there, and if it takes like well over 50 chapters to get anything interesting out of the secondary, like, you know, storyline, then you probably just shouldn't even have a secondary storyline. And that's a problem with a lot of these stories. Like, So What, I'm a Spider did it, where they have like the other group, and it just freaking sucks. I don't know. I'm sure I could think of more off the top of my head, but not off the top of my head. I can't think of any off the top of my head. But I do remember So What, I'm a Spider had it, where it's like, really? Like, why do I need to jump back to these like random boring classmates when, you know, the other stuff is what's like actually I'm invested in? Like, okay, let's not. And it's not like, oh, you know, secondary characters like can't be fun or something, or secondary storylines. Like, no, I think Overlord, for example, super good example of where like secondary characters are actually super fun. Like, there's I think it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to think, I can't think of like the book titles because I read the light novel, but in terms of like anime, I'm pretty sure like season 2 is the one that goes over like Sebas and everything for a while, and like Climb and all that. And it's like, that's actually fun. Like, it's written relatively well. But in this case, it's every character is a trope. So it's like, okay, I'm going from like the tropes that drew me into the series to tropes I don't care about. So it's like, if you're going to make it tropes, at least like let me follow the ones that are kind of fun to look at. I don't know. It's always a problem when you have that like big class where like the second storyline is always so much worse. In terms of like other characters, like of course there's this guy, the elf, the one classmate that, you know, is not a psychopath. You see like a leopardess, you know, like a, you know, an elf, things like that. but they're just more tropes. More and more tropes. I think this character's kind of weird. Like, I can't really get a feel for them. They're really weird. Like, I wouldn't even say they're good or anything. They're just different, and it's like, it's just strange. Like, I don't even really understand what their deal is. And I feel like typically I've either seen it before or I can at least get what the deal is with a character, but this one I just look at and like you hear their dialogue and you're just like, what is happening? Like, I don't understand you, and I don't know why you're doing what you do. It's just like weird. But overall, I think the main thing to focus on would be this. The story is generic, and full of tropes, trope central, if you will. It's all about power scaling, but there's really no power scaling. It's kind of like fake power scaling, where they're like, oh, this guy's so powerful, but then the main character like one-shots them anyway, so it's like, what's the point in even saying they're powerful? Any information you get is basically irrelevant. It's like, oh, this character's level 1000. Like, okay, what does that mean? Nothing. They give you stat points, but like, they don't really give you a good sense to compare them to. So it's like, oh, he has 5,000 stat points. Okay, well, what does 5,000 mean? I don't know. It's just like, okay, well, what can he do because he has that? It almost feels like an on-rails series, you know? It's just going, like, point A, point B. I don't know, it's just like, it's a very, like, linear progression, you know? Where it's like, okay, here's A, here's B, we need to get over there somehow. And then, like, this guy just knows everything, so he can just get there, just, you know... It just takes time, that's it. And, I don't know, just overall, the sense that the series gave me is, like, I want to appeal to a teenage audience... and not even attempt to appeal to any people older than that. I want to, you know, just do like the most tropey things that I can. And if this is the first time you're seeing these tropes, maybe you'll like it. I don't know. It didn't feel like it was going anywhere. But I mean, hey, I don't know. If you don't mind like the, you know, the a massive amount of tropes and the boring, you know, side characters that you constantly have to listen to because they just will not leave, then maybe you'll like this. I don't know. But I can't say I was a fan. So overall, yep, I'm gonna leave it off on a 5. Not really, like, bad. I don't think it necessarily is bad. Like, I think it's, like, a fun read, but it's just kind of like... eh? Like, I wouldn't, like, recommend it, really. It's like, if someone asked me, like, was that, like, good, I would probably just say, it's alright. It's not going to offend you, it's not going to make you upset, it's just, it's there. And, you know, maybe it's a fun little read for an hour, and then you never think about it again. But, anyway, yeah, that's about it. I'd appreciate it if you could like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Maybe leave another story that you want me to read down below. Even if I read it, I'll read it again. Who cares? Yeah. I'll see ya.